Everybody always says that Quebec City is the most European town in all of North America. And that's true, but there's some mistakes that I made that I wish I had known about, so I'm gonna share everything with you today. First thing to note is that the hills are real. Be ready to embrace that European walking culture and make sure you bring the right shoes because the hills are for real. Be prepared for that. Second thing is do not be the uncultured American who walks into a place and says, "Hello, I'm here." No, start with a simple bonjour. Everybody speaks French up here. Now that doesn't mean that you need to speak French, but it is a sign of respect to just greet somebody with that bonjour. Now you can move on to English and ask them, "Hi, do you speak English? I don't speak French." They'll gladly change, but don't start with English, respect their culture, and start with French. The next thing to keep in mind is that if you're an American, you should probably start lowering the voice just a little bit. Yeah, this is kind of that European culture. You don't need to use that outside voice really anywhere, not even outside. This is a quiet city, a slow pace of life, that nice charm. So be somebody who contributes to that charm. Don't be that loud person that is kind of bugging everybody. So keep that in mind. The next thing to note is that, well, yes, Old Town is absolutely stunning. You should absolutely make sure that you schedule some time to just wander because it's a great place to just walk and get lost in. Don't make the mistake of just exploring Old Town. Yes, Old Town is going to feel most European. It's going to be that charming area, but this area right here is sometimes completely missed by tourists, and this is where most of the locals are at, and it has a completely different feel. And one of the benefits to being down here is some of the cheaper accommodations and best and most affordable food is down in this area. But I got some really important tips around restaurants. One of the biggest mistakes that I made as a foodie was not making my reservations in advance. Look, because this is a smaller city and there's a lot of tourists and people just know their food, these restaurants fill up quick and they all pretty much require reservation. So probably my biggest regret on the trip was not doing my research, not making those reservations ahead of time, because it meant I didn't get to eat at some of the best places, but don't worry, I'll still have some food recommendations coming up in just a second. But another really important thing to know around dinner and just food in general is that this is a little bit more old school. It's not just show up whenever you want it. Felt like most restaurants actually have first service and second service. Felt like first service was taking place between 5:30 and 6:30, second service around that 8 o'clock range. So just keep in mind those service times so you can align things correctly. The next thing you're probably wondering is, hey, is this a place where I'm supposed to tip? The answer is yes. About 15% is standard. If you have exceptional service, you can go up to that 20% range. So it's a smidge smaller than in the US, but definitely still a tipping culture, 15%, and you'll be all set. Now I do have some food recommendations for you. The first one is a great cafe called Cafe Olive. This is in that local area of town. Just wonderful people, made some great coffee, had some little sweet bites that were just awesome. Loved the setting, just felt like that truly authentic feel. It's what I'm looking for in a coffee place, so you might enjoy it as well. Now, if you're looking more for a proper dinner, there's a place called Hano Ramen, and this place was phenomenal. I know ramen up in Quebec City, it was one of the best meals that I've had in a long time. Highly recommend that place, but recognize that the reason I found that place was because I was actually trying to get into their sister restaurant, which shares a building. I couldn't get in there because, again, I didn't make my reservations in advance. So my fault there, but hey, great ramen spot if you're looking for it. And if you do have a sweet tooth, there is a wonderful spot called Patisserie Chacouette. I probably botched that pronunciation because I don't speak great French, actually hardly any other than bonjour, but this place is a bit more accessible to the Old Town. Great stuff. We had like 3-4 pastries. We couldn't help ourselves. It was that good. Definitely a spot that I highly recommend. You're not going to be disappointed. But let's talk about a couple other things that I just don't think you should miss. I'm not going to cover all of the tourist highlights. There's plenty of places that do that, but I want to give you some practical tips. One of the places that I definitely don't think you should miss are the Plains of Abraham. It's basically this huge park out in this area. It is really easy to walk to from Old Town. Just set aside an afternoon, early morning. If the weather is nice, gosh, it is just a beautiful park. You're looking at the water. You'll come across multiple different like vantage and like viewpoints. It's just a beautiful place, gets away from all of the people, and again, has that really local feel. I just feel like anyone would be making a mistake not saying that, so definitely make sure you add that to your list. Next up is a lot of people always want to know, should I go to Montmorency Falls? And if you're not familiar, it's this big waterfall that is just like 10-15 minutes outside of Quebec City, and the answer is yes, you should definitely go, but I have some practical tips that you're definitely gonna wanna follow on this. So one of the first things that you'll notice is there is a funicular that will get you to the top because the waterfall is really, really big. And you'll also notice this just ginormous staircase going up like what looks like the side of a mountain. Yeah, this is where those tips come in. So there are two drop-off points. There's a top location, bottom location. This one is the top. This is where I recommend getting dropped off if you're taking an Uber or arranging any other public transit. The reason for it is, well, yes, you can take that funicular ride up if you're wanting to splurge with the money. If you're wanting to save money, if you get dropped off at the top here, you have just a straight walk along the waterfall, like across this bridge, and then you can take that giant staircase down. So you're never going up any stairs. If you get dropped off at the bottom, well, it's gonna be the opposite. You're gonna be the one climbing up that staircase, which there are a lot of steps, but they did a wonderful job setting up that whole area for tourists. I highly recommend it, wouldn't miss it at all. But if you wanna know what my unfiltered thoughts are on Quebec City, because I definitely have some, you can watch that right here. But I hope this was helpful. If you have any questions, leave them down below, and we'll catch you guys next time.